What's going on? I'm Scott from Koenig, Jared from Koenig, and how you doing? Welcome back to another episode of the Behind the Wheel podcast. You know, the thing we do on Wednesdays around 3 p.m. Eastern. So, I don't want to waste too much time talking about things. I want to get into it, right? If you're a car person, well, let me start this way. If you are a friend of Koenig, you know at least one of these people. But if you're a car person, I think you're to like this podcast because these are real car people. Like when we start talking about car enthusiasts, I'm not sure that you could really find any two people that would exemplify that meaning anymore.
I'd say that's a pretty safe assumption.
So I don't want to dull this down because they do different types of racing. You know, like how do you know, we're not gonna say, but road racing friends of Koenig, Savannah Little and Nick Stentiford are here. Max, bring them in. Let's get going. What's happening?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, guys.
Oh man, you look great today.
Oh my goodness,
Savannah,
right?
you look good too.
I like that little hype up you gave us, making us sound like we could take over the world if we wanted to.
Well, I gotta tell you, it's there's not a lot of flattery that goes around here, but you know, you earn that part of it.
Man, what a fella.
Yeah, right. So listen, so what's been, you know, there's so much I think I want to talk to you about.
While you fix your microphone.
Why I'm fixed this mic. This thing's gonna fall over. You see this, right?
I could see
this
it.
This is a problem that we have. Anyhow,
we only operate with the best of equipment here, by the way.
Yeah. So the first question I think I have that would really kick things off the best way is, Savannah, how many times do you think your car has to go on fire before you can get it to be the platform you always wanted it to be?
Which car?
Well, the fact that you had to say that really bothers me more than anything. But I guess we should talk about the Z, right? I feel like in the grand scheme of things, the Z on average, tell me if you think I'm wrong, is probably the platform you use to be the most competitive most of the time in your racing.
Yeah, I would say over the course of the years, I would
Right.
agree with that. I've obviously done Miata side projects every so often, but
Yeah.
I feel like I build one and then I sell one and then I build one and then I sell one, so we'll keep doing that. But yeah, the Z, you know, actually up until 2019, it had never been on fire.
So what you're saying is COVID came and your car started to go on fire all by itself.
Everybody talked about how 2020 was like the worst year of their life, and for me 2019 was absolutely awful. Like,
Yeah.
I can't really complain because I was still driving race cars. I still had a lot of really good things going for me, but that year I was so happy to see gone. And but yeah, I mean, the Z didn't catch on fire until it windowed the block.
Yeah, right. Okay. And then what about the next time though?
Yeah, the next 3 times after that has been, how many times has it caught on fire in the last?
I mean, just out there, it's been
Like
twice.
here, at least twice.
So all right. So let's stop. So why did the car catch on fire there?
It keeps catching on fire because we put a 5.3 junkyard motor in it. We had some issues with our 427, so we had to send it back to the builder.
Right.
And we decided I didn't want the car to sit, so I bought a junkyard 5.3 out of some guy's garage.
Which is a great move, by the way, I think.
Yeah.
Practical thing to do
Yeah,
here.
just to keep the car going.
Yeah.
Just so you still have fun with it.
Well, the one thing we didn't really think of was the valve covers are not baffled from the factory on those. So as soon as you start drifting, racing, anything with any kind of G loads,
You
it
throw
just starts
oil.
puking that out into the catch cans, and then the catch cans just puke it straight out the vent, and it was just catching things on fire. So we ended up plugging it, but then it smokes out of the exhaust. So
that's like a controlled fire, though.
Yeah,
out the exhaust, so
That's
okay.
right. That's right.
But
blow it out
we
like a
have
birthday
proper,
candle.
Catch can system now and valve covers from Texas Speed now. So now that we have proper valve covers and baffling, there's no issues with that anymore.
Which is good because nobody needs to have another year full of fires. You know?
No, and it's so funny because like we will just get in the car and rip it around here at the track. We have unlimited access to the track, which is really awesome as part of our deal here. And we'll just get in it on like a Tuesday and be like, let's go rip it.
Yeah.
But I won't do it without a fire suit on because I don't trust the car. Like, I can't just go after work, get in the car, and take it for a rip. I've got to go put the fire suit on because I don't trust the car at all.
Man,
I'm just gonna wait, but I want to say I'm just going to assume that the Colorado forest fires, any previous or future ones are because of them.
I was just thinking about that. Like, I was gonna say the next time you see a forest fire, you may want to just do a radius around their house and see if that might be.
Just shoot us a quick text, just like, hey,
Right.
you okay?
Right, like you guys aren't in the center of it, are you? Yeah.
Y'all didn't cause this, did you?
Oh God.
Man, I think it's interesting. Like, it's for those that don't know, Savannah's mom also races, so it's an interesting dynamic to think that, like, I think as a parent, right? I mean, my kid's nowhere near that age yet, but like, if my daughter someday decides that she wants to race, to have a car that goes on fire so much and then have to think about that she's got to wear a fire suit just because she doesn't want to drive it. I mean, that's, what do you do?
Well, think about it from the other end. So what she used to do, she used to be involved with horses, which was way more dangerous.
Yeah,
so
I
mom
guess.
thinks of cars as being safe now.
Yeah.
Right.
As crazy as that sounds in somebody's brain.
Yeah, my mom gets asked all the time, don't you get worried about watching your daughter race? And she's like, oh, I way prefer this to the horses.
So
So
yeah, I think it's, I don't know. I feel like it's very, I may be a little bit too urban to make that, to weigh in on that, right?
That's what I think of when I see you, Scott. It's urban.
Yeah.
That's my go-to with you.
Yeah, I feel, right? Like, I represent the brand lifestyle-wise. That's what I'm here for. So, let's talk about the cars. So, we know we have a Z. Previously had a 427, currently has a 5.3. I still think, personally, that a 5.3 is a great look for a car that's racing as much as you do. I know that their downfalls are different things, but they've sold them in, like, every truck for, like, 30 years, you know what I mean? Or 25 years. So they're accessible, they're affordable. I think that they still boogie, especially with a bunch of bolt-ons, which you can keep kind of just...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
totally.
especially if you can do a cam, and I mean, mine is completely stock,
right?
Because the 427 is back and ready to go back in the car now. But,
nice.
Because I decided to try to run GLTC, the 5.3 made a lot of sense. The only downfall really was that we couldn't get an aluminum block for less than like $2,500, even as a junkyard motor. And for me, I was like, I'd rather spend $500 on an iron block if this is a temporary thing. So the added weight definitely is not the Z's friend,
right?
But like, in terms of reliability and whatnot, it's crazy how affordable and accessible. Like you said, I don't regret it. 10 out of 10 would do it again. As soon as I realized that the 427 was going to have to go back to the builders, I was looking for a 5.3
just already
drop
searching.
in. I mean, it takes like 2 hours to pull an engine out of that car, so I'm like, let's just put another engine in it.
It's so crazy. It's like, because at least you have that plug and play function. Even though you're switching engines, you still have that plug and play kind of nature of having an LS platform.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we have the Z. Now I want us to. You're not, just to be clear, you're not campaigning with doing the MX5 stuff this year.
No, I'm not racing in MX5 Cup this year.
Right, but that was something you did last year, so you really got, I would say, the best, kind of Cup Miata you could probably get. I mean, you had the full support of Mazda too, as far as like parts and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I didn't actually own that car, so that was just an arrive and drive deal. Team owned the car. I showed up, drove it. It was really strange for me not to have to work on a car,
right?
And to get out of the car and just hand the engineer and hand my car chief notes about setup, and it was a completely different environment than what Nick and I do.
Yeah.
Right. It's what's called
like
a dream.
When I went to spectate. So when I went to spectate, I'm still used to going to the track. I'd still get my hands dirty. I drive. But, like, now I'm just showing up and I can hang out. There's snacks, which is important. There's snacks, there's meal. You could just watch the race, and that's it. Like, it's a weird experience for me being at a track and not having to do something. And same with her. She just shows up,
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah.
Is it more stressful, in your opinion, to not have to do the work and just show up versus the opposite? Like, did that give you anxiety?
It's two different types of stress for sure. With our own cars, we're in control of so much, which gives us the ability to prep them the way that we want to. And it's not to say that the teams don't do an amazing job and that they aren't hiring the best mechanics out there, because they are. But it can be a little like stressful when there's 8 cars that need a setup change and we have 2 hours before qualifying, and you're like, how are they going to get all these cars on the setup pads, the scales? Usually they'll do it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But it does get a little stressful when you're just walking around looking for something to do and you realize your car hasn't been done yet, and you're like, okay. Especially if you're not like the fastest driver on the team, often you're going to get shuffled down in priority naturally. So as a driver that was developmenting, a lot of the times I felt like I was like, oh, we have like 45 minutes and my car's still on the setup pad.
Yeah.
But they always pulled it off. So I can't say enough good things about the team.
It's so interesting because like I think like in one aspect like there may be some anxiety, but it's such a different thing to only have to worry about your driving and your mental thought. You know, this is something like we spoke to Tom O'Gorman about like not too long ago, like when he was doing some of the stuff, you know, with Honda, and he was just saying like the ability just to kind of show up and get into the car is so mentally like focusing compared to like, you know, just having to worry about everything from start to finish. So
Yeah.
did you find it? What was the polar opposite? Did you find it from just from a driving perspective alone? Any mentally, did you feel there was an edge one way or another?
I had a lot more pressure in MX5 Cup for sure. I put a lot more pressure on myself. We have expectations to meet, especially as a driver that was working directly with a manufacturer. There was a lot more pressure from all corners, and it wasn't negative pressure. It just was pressure. And it made me grow a lot as a driver and as an athlete, even outside of the car, just the things I had to do to be the best that I could be. Like getting a sim was something. It was a $8,000 investment that I made last year to work on things that I can't work on, because seat time is not a luxury in pro racing. You don't get the opportunity to just go out on a track day and test, especially when you don't own the car. Every time you want to take the car out, it's $5,000 or $6,000. So better off to invest $8,000 in a sim and hope you can learn as much as you can from the sim. And then when you show up at your IMSA race, you're going to get maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours of seat time the whole weekend. And you're spending about $25,000 a weekend to be there. So it's seat time's not a luxury. And so it's definitely different. I like that about our own cars, that like I said, like on a Tuesday, I can just say, I'm going to go, you know, I want to go change the camber setup on the Z and rip it around. And then I'm going to go make some shock changes. And like, we have unlimited access to a track that we can, as long as our cars run, we can come out here and drive anytime we want. So it's two very different approaches. But as a driver, it requires two different mentalities, I think. When you're the crew chief, the mechanic, the truck driver, your own coach, all the other things that you have to be on any given weekend, like when Nick and I are campaigning the cars ourselves, it's just a different mentality entirely. You don't stop working from like the 3 weeks before the race until like you get home, and then it's just working on the next one. Whereas when I was driving an IMSA, it was really just focusing on hitting my marks. It's that was my job. It's like you're a robot. Here's your coach provides you with, you know, all the brake markers and the turn-in points and the mile an hour you should carry, and your job is just to memorize those and repeat them time and time and time and time again every lap. And so if you can do that, it's almost a bit more calculated than what him and I do is way more by the seat of your pants.
Oh, every bit of it is,
So I think like I want to, man, I hate these are the toughest podcasts because there's so much we could talk about that I feel like we can do this for hours, but we're not Joe Rogan and it's not. But so I want to finish. I want to get through your cars. You have additionally to all we just talked about, you have an R32, GTST, but you're RB26 now, or you're still 25?
It's a 25 Neo now.
Nice. All right. That means. Don't worry,
Matrix
now that car is only worth about $500,000, I think, right?
Yeah.
It's silly. Yeah, we won't even get into that, but it's silly.
So we have the R32. We also
he's got an IS300.
Well, no, I want to.
Don't worry about that car.
Oh, I love those.
So let's not talk about
Savannah. Do we? Are you done with your cars now? Is that pretty much? I mean, I know you have a truck and stuff like that, but that's
the Sylvia. Did you say the Sylvia?
No, hold on a second. You're jumping around. I got to do this in order
Oh,
here, man.
okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
sorry, I'm all
there's
excited.
an order. I'm trying to cover the
I'm all
cars.
excited. I
Yeah.
like the cars.
So, all right. Do we have anything else that we don't know about? Anything else that's there?
As of right now, for me, it's just the Z and the Skyline, and then
Okay.
obviously we have my dually. That's
Right.
it.
Right.
That's it. That's all.
Well, I have the Subaru. I guess.
Oh yeah, the Subaru.
So I have a Subaru as well.
But you haven't really touched that yet.
Yeah, it's a 2002.5 RS. That's like my snow beater, basically. So
Right.
it lives on winter tires, and we take it snowboarding, and when it snows, we drive it.
Yeah.
We try to get it stuck places. We got it stuck going to Carbondale.
We sure did. Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about that a little bit before the podcast, but
Yeah, I'm sure Luis had a good time with that because he's like, anytime he hears Colorado, his ears, they go up. So interesting dynamic because, and the one thing we were talking about before the podcast, we don't really do a ton of, kind of premeditation for the podcast, but, like the same way, Savannah, we didn't know for years, like the last thing I want to do is I don't want to talk about you being a female in racing. You're a racer to me. You know what I mean? Like, and that's super important. So I don't want to enter this into a couple situation, but it's an interesting dynamic nonetheless. The fact that you both race and race in series where you could tend to be compete with each other, there is that element, but I want to get to Nick's cars, but before we do,
all
Jared,
right.
He's ready. He wants to hear about him.
He does, and I want to hear about him. But before we do, I want to ask, what is the dynamic like? You listen, racing. If anybody races at all, they know that it is almost a full-time commitment because you are working on the cars after work, before work. You're working on the cars, during the week. You're traveling on the weekends to get to places. You're racing. So what is it like having a stable of cars that all need to be competitive, only the two of you, and then also being in the same house? I mean, it's got to start to feel like you just can't get away from each other, right?
Yeah, I'll agree. Yeah, we're always together. I mean, yeah.
I think the plus side is that we enjoy each other's company.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the only way that it works, really, is that we work together now.
So what do you do?
So we both do consumer stunt drives for Ford.
Mm-hmm.
So
I know. I knew
at
that.
auto shows and whatnot. Basically, we just give thrill rides in cars to consumers. So we travel for like 2 weeks at a time to do that at auto shows. And I mean, we both are working there, so we don't get away from each other for work. Honestly, IMSA races was the only time.
I got a 3-day break if she went to an IMSA race and I didn't go if I had something else going on. But that was it. But I mean, do we really want to be apart? Like we still enjoy hanging out with each other. It's like my best friend. Like it really is it's seriously total teamwork through and through. I mean, even just to like budget and everything, and then scheduling everything, and making sure the parts are here for the car, making sure the trucks and trailers are ready to go, making sure that I got my fire suit on right, or like making sure my harnesses are buckled, ready to go on track. Like it really is it's teamwork, just straight down to it. It's
been really different for me. The beginning of this year, I didn't have any of my own personal cars running. The Z was still down. The Skyline's been down waiting on parts for 6 months. Everybody knows what that's like right now. So I was actually just going to the races to crew for him, and it was a totally different thing for me. I've never been on that side. I've had to crew myself, but I've never just been somebody's, crew chief or car chief, however you want to look at it. But it was really it was really fun, and it was cool to get to sit down and not have to worry about my own cars and try to help him grow and help his program grow. Because with the IMSA stuff, I'm exposed to a level of engineering and coaching that a lot of grassroots drivers are never exposed to. Yeah. And I got to absorb all that information like a sponge, which was honestly the best part about my experience in IMSA. And I got to bring some of that stuff home with me and apply it to our programs, which has been really cool. Car setup wise and coaching wise, to try to help both of us further our cars and ourselves as drivers. But
yeah, there's just so much more we could take to the next level, because I thought we were doing pretty well at like our grassroots stage, and then she obviously started racing IMSA, and I saw how they worked and how they did everything and how organized they were and how they would make changes based off this and that. I'm like, man, I need to get my life together. Like I want to be like that when I go to the track. So she brought that, and I sucked every bit of that I could. I mean, there's a lot of learning there.
Yeah. But I mean, ultimately, for us to compete against each other, we enjoy it.
That's the goal.
If
yeah.
we can run next to each other in a GLTC race, we're pumped on
Yeah.
it. Like the first weekend we took the Z out with the 5.3, we went to Hyperfest and we
Yeah.
raced both cars in ST4. And it was so cool. We were
Yeah.
running a few tenths apart the whole weekend. And like, he was the next car for me to catch or vice versa. So it was really just cool to see the two cars run so closely together because they're so different. And our driving styles are pretty similar,
Our
but
driving
the
styles
cars are
similar.
very different.
Yeah, the cars are very, very different. But yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to race with like their girlfriend or their boyfriend or like their best friend? I mean, I just want to race with everybody I can. But the fact that it's her is just awesome.
Which is great, and
Yeah.
it's good that you guys are still in that early stage. But my question really is now is that what happens when you guys have that first major fight right before a competition weekend, and then you see her on track and you're right next to each other? Does
You think I'm gonna take a little?
right? Yeah, just a
to
little,
the left?
just a little bit, just to be like, hey, listen, I'm just letting you know.
I'm still mad at you.
Right.
But then I gotta fix it. I gotta help her fix it.
All
I don't
right.
wanna do that.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually at Road America, he bumped a tire wall right in front of me. I was the next car behind him. It was raining. He was going through the kink. I heard him get on throttle, and his diff we fixed this problem
It's fixed
since.
now.
But
We got rid of the problem.
the
Is what happened.
original diff in the car was basically open. It was completely fried. It wasn't doing its job at all. And I heard him get on throttle, and I heard it over rev, and I'm like, oh my god! I'm literally one car behind him, watching him go into the wall, and I'm like. I will say I responded differently than I've ever responded
Mhm.
watching anyone else crash a car, and it was completely genuine, and I'm almost embarrassed by it, but I almost came to a stop. Not quite, but I took my hands off the wheel and was literally
Yeah.
just yelling at him while he's crashing.
Somebody cares about me. You believe that?
No, it's pretty
Um,
exciting, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
we try not to fight, because at the end of the day we both know that like sometimes tensions get high and it gets stressful, but like at the end of the day we have to rely on each other. So
Mhm.
we just try not to let it get to that point. If somebody needs to blow off some steam, race cars are a great way to do that. So
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's an interesting dynamic. It really is. But so Nick, now why don't we? I want to, because you have some really cool cars too. I mean, this is not like, listen, if you're gonna have some cars around,
Like a 2.4 liter swapped Dodge Neon.
Oh, now we're talking.
now you
My man right there.
So all right, so Nick, you have all
I
right.
have some cars
So you have
now.
right. We have an S15, right?
We do. Well, we don't. I do. Yeah.
Well, we could have it if you would share. I think it's a
Oh,
little
okay.
inconsiderate, is all I'm saying. But that's okay.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
okay.
All right.
I'm all right. I'm all right with it. So
But yeah,
you
I
have an S15.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do not. I understand. So what? Tell me about the S15 mods. What are we looking at?
So as silly as it sounds, I've just always really wanted a white S15 since I was a little kid.
Not silly.
Oh yeah,
Not
silly.
silly.
Crazy, right? So I actually traded my R33 GTR for it about
Oh.
6-7 years ago.
Now it's
That's how
silly.
silly this
Now
is.
it's silly.
Now it sounds a little silly.
Now
but I
it
didn't have a
it
lot
didn't sound
invested in
silly
the car.
before that.
Mm,
Now
Oof.
now we're there. But
You do-
now let's.
Oof.
it was an R33.
People like them now. They didn't like them before. Now the hype's back on them. So it's
I mean,
okay.
I'll give you that. Yeah. Anyhow, so
But-
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Back to the
So-
S15.
The hype is right.
I would say the hype is
Hype is right.
So yeah, the S15, it had the SR20 in it, obviously. Blew that up because that's what they do, and then I rebuilt it, and then finally last year that one let go as well. So now I'm in the process of putting a RB25 into it. Once again, just waiting on some parts, man.
Yeah.
And it's just sitting. I do love the car. I mean, I honestly just can't wait to have it back and just drive it. I mean, we got all these nice Colorado mountain roads, and I just want to drive this thing.
Yeah, and that RB25 is just it's a good engine. Like it's a fun, maybe not so much in like if you have to play with them. Savannah probably knows about that, but but I think it's a cool power plant.
It is. And as silly as it sounds, I like how it looks in the bay. You know how some cars,
Yeah.
like, you put an LS in, I'm like, yeah, the LS works great, but I don't like how it looks. The RB looks good in the bay. They sound good. I mean, just a big turbo slapped on the side
They're
of it.
easy to work on.
This one is easy. The S chassis actually has more room in it than the R chassis to
Right.
work on.
Yeah.
So I'm not really that concerned about having to work on it. I've kind of gone through and like deleted and bulletproofed everything I need to do to it. So getting my hands under the manifold wouldn't be an issue later on. But yeah, I just want to drive the car.
Yeah.
It was a time attack car for a while, was a daily driver for a while. Now it's just going to be just like the fun. I could track it, I could drift it, I could drive it. I just want to do everything.
It'll
with
do
it.
everything, just not well. You know, that's kind of, it's like the Skyline was for me for years. So
Right. Yeah. Well,
that's always been so fun with these cars is that we actually, even though they're rare and they're expensive, we actually abuse them. And
But it's so cool to do it in though,
Yeah.
especially two of them. Like we went to a drift event two years ago, a year and a half ago, whatever, and we took the S15 and R32 to a drift event. I'm like, man, this is. I mean, I would hate to wreck either one of these cars.
Understood.
But like, this is sick bringing these things here, and like, it was nighttime. It was just a really cool experience bringing out stuff like that rather
Initial
than
D
just sitting
vibes.
in a car cover in somebody's garage.
Right.
But yeah, they definitely get used.
Yeah. Well, and I guess that's that's the best part of some of these cars. I think is that you really can use them, and well, unfortunately, sometimes blow them up or light them on fire.
That's all right.
But
Yeah.
I think so. Sorry. So venturing into Nick's next car, but also introducing a little bit of story time.
Ooh.
So one of the things that compelled us to work with Nick is just that this dude straight up would drive his S2000 across the country, race an event, and then drive the thing all the way back. No trailer.
Yeah, I couldn't afford a trailer. No.
I understand. Drove the car. I remember one time he said, "Hey, I bent a wheel. Can we get a replacement?" And I think I remember saying something like, "How'd you bent the wheel?" And he's like, "Oh, I was coming back on whatever it was. It wasn't on the track. It was like driving home." So,
Oh my god.
yeah. So I mean, I think it's incredible that there's that level of dedication. It also scares the crap out of me, and I'm surprised that you have the stones to do it.
Well, honestly, man, it's just a lot of fun. It adds a whole nother experience to your race weekend. Like
I'll
for
give
a
you
lot
that.
of people, it's load the car in the trailer, drive to the track, 2 miles, 12 or 2 hours, 12 hours, whatever it is, race your car, have your fun, and then drive home. But if you're driving the car, I mean, I still enjoy driving my car. I mean, just like you guys still enjoy cars.
Yeah.
So like driving it and seeing all these different like landscapes, going through different cities in my car, like it brings you back to like why you got in the cars, like just cruising around with your buddies.
Yeah.
So, I could drive it to the track, go to a bunch of states I've never been to, race it, camp out of it, drive it home if it didn't break down. If it did break down, I mean, I got to fix it. But, that
You don't
that's the
have
worst of
to.
it. I mean, I got to fix it somewhere and then just drive it home.
So S2000 K24.
K24 with a built K20 head.
Oh, sweet. So now, school me a little bit. What's the different? Why the K20 head? Is it just flow better?
It's better flow characteristics. That's exactly right.
All right, cool. So
I don't know how much better. The internet just said it flowed better, and I didn't so I got it.
yeah, we listen when the interweb speaks. We
Houghton.
listen. Yeah.
You can blame James Houghton.
Yeah.
James Houghton said it flows better, so the internet believes it now.
He
Yeah.
is the internet.
Yeah, I believe. Well, you know what? And it's hard too because like as much as I want to dispute the internet, when you say James Houghton says it, I even believe it. So,
Corey
one of the
Tim
He's
Case.
faster than me, so I gotta listen to him, right?
he
Captain
is.
Canada says yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's pretty fun. Like he's funny in the sense of like I feel like I pick up this random Honda wealth of information from James in just the weirdest conversations. We're never starting out to talk about anything, and next thing you know, we're whatever. But yeah. So the car is naturally aspirated
It is naturally aspirated. Yep.
and polar opposite to driving the S15.
Oh, completely opposite. It's so slow. It's so slow, but it handles phenomenal. Like
Yeah.
that's what the car does well. It handles and it brakes.
So
The S15, it just looks cool.
so the S2000 is kind of like your Miata.
I would say, yeah, my manlier Miata. It's more expensive and it breaks way more than a Miata. But yeah,
Right.
I just think it is a better looking Miata to me.
Right.
I love that. The manlier Miata.
Are there so you have two different platforms. So tell me about first of all, I know you have other cars. So let me just let you go through and list them because I don't want to deal with Jared when he tells me that I missed a whole bunch of cars?
I mean, I don't really have anything cool anymore. I got rid of everything. I've just kind of focused on the S2000 for now, honestly. I just want to keep racing that car and get more and more competitive in it. So everything else is kind of gone. I don't know what list of cars he thinks I have, but
I listed them off. Yeah.
No.
oh, that's it. Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
IS300.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just an
Oh, alright.
IS300. That's just a daily, and then my
Yeah.
truck.
Right. All right.
And,
I love it.
that's it for now.
Hey,
Yeah.
Do
listen.
you keep them all at your house in Colorado?
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing. So
Yeah, so that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah. When you talk about whether or not him and I get sick of each other, we actually just bought an RV and we
Yeah.
live in an RV at the racetrack.
Yeah.
So this is how we live now.
All right.
So
Okay, I saw the jaw just go.
Well,
Where are the cars?
the cars are, so we have a garage here. So we
Yeah.
keep the race cars in a garage here, and then we have our trailer here, and then we have, I mean, we just keep everything here at
Yeah.
the track. We like live here full time. So
Wow.
I was getting some RV vibes by that background, but
Is
I
it?
didn't
It's
want to
Did
be
it give it
rude.
away?
I didn't want to assume, and I didn't want to be. But
I mean,
that's
it
some
could just be a
RV
kitchen
vibes
table.
right
It's
there.
pretty-
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
actually-
No, I'm into
yeah,
it.
we got
I'm
sick of
into it.
paying rent. It
Yeah.
was like, why do we pay rent when we're never home? And then we kind of just said, you know what else we could have for what we spend in rent?
Yeah.
A really nice RV.
A nice RV.
Yeah.
So what? Let me ask you a question. So you're at the racetrack. How did that arrangement come out? Is that something they have like a standard thing where you could sign up to whatever, or you guys know some people, or like how does this work out?
No, we're actually good friends with the track manager here, Jeanette. He's known her for a few years. He
Yeah.
used to coach her when she actually races. She does grid life as well.
Mhm.
So we've known her just through the grapevine. But he's done some coaching for her, and an opportunity came up that the track needed somebody to help them with their HPDE program, and both of us have done quite a bit of coaching. So we saw an opportunity to have access to this facility, which is really
Mhm.
what we were after, was the garage space.
Right.
Because his title sponsor, M-Spec, used to be based out of Denver, which was really
Yeah.
convenient for us when we needed a lift or we needed, storage. We had access to that, but they recently moved to Oklahoma, so it kind of left us with a void.
Right.
Unfortunately for us, the track had a void that they needed to fill, so we all kind of, you scratch my back, I'll
Yeah.
scratch yours, and so here we are now. But the RV thing kind of came later. Just like, we've got a friend that lives here that also works here, and we were kind of like, hey, like, how does that work? Could we get in on that? And they're like, well, they got RV hookups everywhere. I don't see why not. So
So here we are.
here we are.
That's
Talk
crazy.
about
So-
right place at the right time. Like,
Well,
what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
just trying to be resourceful because, I mean, you guys know how expensive racing
Oh,
is.
yeah.
and we
Yeah.
loved the place that we were living
Yeah.
at. It
It
was
really
awesome.
it was seriously like a dream house, just a
But-
cabin in the mountains, man. It was awesome.
Sometimes you got to give that kind of stuff up for the bigger picture, and
Right.
for us to be able to save that amount of money every month in rent at a place the cat was living there, like we were
Yeah.
never there.
Right. Now, Nick, do you
It
think
just
that
makes sense.
the deer miss you?
Oh, I know they miss me,
Yeah.
especially Barry. Barry
Yeah,
was my go-to deer for sure.
Nick's
Yeah.
got, for people that don't know, Nick, if you go to Nick's Instagram, I'm sure the information will be down below, but he's had plenty of interesting things where he walks outside and there's like 12 deer just standing
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
like waiting, like not
Just
moving.
waiting. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it
Wow.
needs them. They're not dumb.
Yeah.
So the car guy in me needs to know. You have a garage at the track. You live at the track. I'd imagine that at night a lot of those people, if there's any there, they go home.
Mhm.
Can you just take your cars out in the middle of the night and rip on it? Do you have rules? What's going on? I mean,
So how it works is we gotta throw it in the group chat to let people know what's going on track. If the track's hot, everybody here needs to know
Yeah.
for safety reasons, obviously.
Yeah.
right.
But aside from that, I would say it's free game.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, like the parking lot or like the paddock area, but to be honest, like it's more of a don't mess up a good thing. So
Mhm.
like we wouldn't want to risk
Yeah.
shenanigans, and
Yeah.
they let us do whatever we want as long as it's
Yeah.
communicated. So why would we try to do it without their blessing? Is like,
Yeah.
no,
Man.
we wouldn't want to mess it up. But
Yeah, I don't want to set up like my own like 8-hour nighttime endurance race out here. when it's on. But
No.
but yeah, if we gotta go out there and turn some laps to test out a car, yeah, they're not gonna have an issue
Absolutely.
with that.
That's so crazy though, because I think about like here's why I think like that first off, that's like a dream you have when you build cars. I think to be
Yeah, absolutely.
because I feel like every time I've ever finished a major car or major build, it always feels like it's at like midnight or like 2 a.m. Like I just
You
can't.
never get done at lunchtime.
No, because so then you want to go start the car, you want to get everything running, or you want to take it out for a spin, and you're like, no, I'm gonna wake people up. I can't take it out now. I can't go here.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to get stuck in the dark. Yada yada yada. But like having a racetrack or an open area where you can literally like just take it out, you're not gonna piss anybody off. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, this track has everything from rally courses to like a drift lot to an oval track and infield. I mean, we could. The opportunities are absolutely endless. So
why are we here? Why are we
Why
here?
are you there?
Wait. What? First off, are you allowed? Are you okay with disclosing which track we're talking about, or no?
Yeah, we're at Pikes Peak International Raceway.
Oh, that's crazy.
Why are we here?
The question is, are you guys having any Airbnb guests?
Wait,
Oh, the couch folds out.
allegedly,
Yeah.
allegedly, this camper sleeps 4. So
Yeah.
Man, I'm like, listen. Maybe I'm gonna have to
Jesus.
orchestrate a different summer trip, and maybe I'm just gonna have to like if you get,
Honey, we're going to Colorado.
right. Yeah, if you get like a random delivery of like a car and you sign for it, man,
Oh
that's
my God.
that's like the craziest thing. So have you driven up like Pikes Peak?
yeah,
Yeah.
we've both taken. We took the Skyline and the Sylvia
Mhm.
up there. Well, I guess like
Back when
almost
they
2
still
years ago,
ran, yeah.
Right.
But yeah, it's a regular. I'm not gonna say highway. I think they call it a highway, but it's a 2-lane road all the way to the top. I mean, minivans drive up and down it all day long.
Yeah.
Right.
We
Have-
both have aspirations to want to do the race someday, but I think neither one of us necessarily wants to build some ridiculous 1,200 horsepower monster car to go do it. I almost just kind of want to take the Z and just run what you brung kind of deal.
Yeah, I just want to do it. That's all.
But
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd want to put in a $200,000 effort to make it happen. It's
Unless
not that important to me.
Oh, God.
maybe.
Yeah,
You know
I
what
mean,
I'm saying?
That's
You can look.
not
you
coming
can
from
look
over
all
here.
you want in this direction, but like like what do they say? Like if your pockets are empty, like I can't let But but listen, you never know. I mean, this podcast could go viral.
Yeah, right. And then
And
who
then we'll
knows?
make so much money
Oh, there we
off
go.
the podcast that we'll actually be able to,
We're getting
Oh,
fed
we're-
some questions.
we just got airmail.
Okay.
Airmail. We got comments and stuff. Cool. Let's see.
Look at that.
But yeah, so you never know. Man, I think this is what
I thought
before
they
we
already set up a GoFundMe and everything. Look at that.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
so
right?
before we get into some questions and stuff, I guess one thing I want to talk. What is the plan for this year? I feel like we would be doing a disservice if we didn't at least talk about it.
Our plan for this year is to, as it sits, so we're still in negotiation with a couple of partners that could change things in a pretty big way for us. But as it sits with the information that we have, our focus is going to be GLTC with Grid Life.
Yeah.
So that would be with the K24 S2000 and the 350Z for now. The ballpark plan for me is to build another NC. I built one back in 2021 that I parted ways with, or I'm sorry, 2020 that I parted ways with in 2021 to help fund the MX5 Cup effort. My plan is to build another one, but this time for GLTC, so it would have not the spec engine in it. It was a grossly underpowered car for GLTC when I ran it back in 2020. So that is kind of the plan as we sit right now. The Z then would get its 427 put back in, and it would become primarily a drift car. Potentially do some endurance race stuff with it, light road racing, but mostly drift at this point. The Skyline and the Sylvia are both just waiting on parts. So we're just at the mercy, like many other car enthusiasts right now, we're at the mercy of not being able to get things that we need. And funny enough, it's not even JDM parts. It's stuff made here in America, and we're just having trouble getting what we need to get these cars back together. So that timeline is kind of an unknown, but GLTC is our primary focus for this year. And then I know that both him and I want to get some more drifting seat time, and we don't really have aspirations to be competitive drifters by any means, but we kind of like the environment, and it's really fun. So
yeah, it's a good environment. I mean, I think everybody knows that about drifting. They have a good time. And yeah, we just want to do more of that. I mean, do we want to mention anything about endurance racing?
Yeah, we're running with the WRL team this year, so this is actually the first time I've talked about it, but I'll be racing with
Breaking news,
I feel
ladies
like
and
we need an
gentlemen.
exclusive.
Yeah.
You heard it first on the
Yeah.
Koenig Wheels Behind the Wheel podcast.
So I'll be racing a Porsche with that team this
Get
year
out.
in WRL, so that's really exciting.
What kind of Porsche?
As well. It's a Boxster, so it's just like a 2001, but super competitive car. Last year the car won multiple times and was second in the championship, so I'm looking forward to joining a competitive team, and obviously looking forward to a lot of seat time. The team used to be 350Z people, at least one of the owners of the team did, so Scott, there are kindred spirits.
I understand.
But,
I understand.
I mean that's really the focus, and then I mean, we're just living at the racetrack and living the dream. So
man,
just keep doing it.
I feel like,
well, I was gonna say, like
the racetrack.
most people are like, when they get bored, they're like, I'll go play a video game, or I'll go do something. These people go like, oh, I'm bored. You know what? I'm gonna go rip my car around the track. Like, it's just.
Oh, wait a minute. I have another question.
Okay.
Savannah, you spent $8,000 on a sim. Where's the sim?
The sim is in the garage. So it's just, in the garage, we're just kind of setting up, and we're still moving in, so everything is we're still doing shelving and all this fun stuff right now, but it's in the garage, and it's kind of a community piece.
Yeah.
So it's a community piece. So I really, now the saving really is obviously fuel, maintenance, and tires, right?
Yeah.
That's where we're okay. Because I feel like, it's like flying a plane or having a plane simulator at the airport right behind your plane. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I think now its purpose is a little bit more competitive, like for our friends that are here.
Well, think about like the summer barbecues we can have at the garage. Like the garage is 100 feet away from the track entrance. We got the sim in there, the cars, the barbecue going. It's gonna be some good parties out here for sure.
But I will say, the sim is really good for learning tracks. So we can't do that. We can't learn new racetracks.
No, I want to build
from our
one.
couch, but we can on the sim.
I want to build one so bad, but like every time I start to get into it, I go down the rabbit's hole, and like I know that the logical thing is just to go with something like a Logitech 920 setup just to get started. But like I can't help myself. I kind of want to dive full in and just buy everything, get all the Fanatec stuff, and like I can't help myself. I kind of, but that's a whole other story for a different
Which is
day.
what I did. I mean,
but you deserve it. I'm like, I drive back and forth to work at this point.
You say that, but and I didn't go with direct drive, and like my coach and everybody else was using that, but I could not justify the extra $2,000 because I wasn't able to race online anyway. I didn't have good enough internet up in the mountains, but and like now, if you really want to get competitive in iRacing, you almost need to spend the money. But I was just looking to learn tracks and learn my marks and just drill those kinds of things. So it wasn't important for me. But I would say go for it. I mean, it's been a ton of fun. Him and I will waste an entire night just trading laps back and forth. Yeah,
I think you guys could really start another side business of throwing some really bitchin' bachelor parties. Just saying. You know what I mean? Like barbecue, car racing, simulators. I mean, you're really checking every box I think I have.
There you go.
So,
what a simple guy. I love it.
That really is. By the way, like I'm not like the only other thing
he's
you
not
can.
Kidding.
Like, I mean, I spend more of my time. Like, if I'm home, if I'm not with my kids, I'm most likely in the garage. Like, I just, you know what I mean?
And
like,
sometimes he brings the kids into the garage.
Right, but
hold the flashlight. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, luckily, I have it loaded, so I don't have to worry about flashlights. But I think it's like it's just one of those things. Even if I'm like just in there standing or walking around, I'm happier being there than sitting on a couch. You know what I mean?
I'm the same way. Even when I'm out here and I don't have any parts in, or I'm just too lazy to do something, I still I'm that old man that wanders around the garage looking at stuff, rubbing my belly, like,
right.
Yep.
You're like looking for the thing you can
Yeah.
work on. You start
No, I don't
taking.
wanna work on
I
it.
start organizing tools. I'm like moving things around. I like,
Yeah.
you know what? I bet you I can fit something else up there. So I start building a shelf. You know, like that's the crap I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have some questions.
Yeah,
before we
let's
kick
do it.
off. I want to do some questions.
Yeah.
First off, a comment. Aventure says Savannah is the first person that turned me on to Koenig a couple years ago when I was looking to run a 295/30 square setup on my twin turbo 350Z. Been a fan of Savannah and Koenig ever since. So that's dope. Look at
There you
that,
go.
real life
Thanks,
touching.
man.
Yeah,
That's awesome. That's really cool. It's so cool to hear stories like that because you don't really ever get to see your impact on
yeah,
the car scene or anybody a lot. You know, it's so when people reach out and say, "Hey, you're the reason that I did something," and I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. The number one question in my DM that I actually answer
Do you
is,
know
"What
Scott?"
are your wheel specs?"
Oh.
What are your wheel specs? That is the number one question I'll actually answer. So
That's
if you're
crazy.
looking to start a conversation with me, guys, that's how you do it.
Start there, right? So what
That's
she's
it.
saying is,
Start
if you're
there.
looking to slide into the DMs, you
That's
start with the wheel
icebreaker
fitment.
right there.
Yep, hit them with the Koenig question.
Yeah.
Right, and then right. So then we got Dewey DeWitt. He has a bunch of
Oh.
comments, so I'm going to see. You know who this is? Yes.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, good. Because yeah. So it says you two are living the dream, and then it says I'll talk you into modding the Subi soon enough.
Yeah. Yeah, he would like to. I know, and he actually works for IAG now. So all the
Oh.
Subaru people listening, their
Yeah.
ears just went, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
Yep.
IAG. So Dewey
Oh.
just joined the IAG family. Congratulations, by the way, Dewey.
Man,
We're
that's
stoked for
hot.
you.
Man, that's so, and they're still in Maryland, right?
Yeah. They're
feel
still
like we need
based
a
out of
field
Maryland,
trip.
so he just relocated. Actually, and it's funny because he said something to
Yeah,
Nick and I at
And
one
I
of the
thought he
last
was
races
joking
of the
about
year.
it. Yeah.
We made a joke about we spent a whole week in a Walmart parking lot in
Wisconsin, yeah, Sheboygan,
Sheboygan,
yeah.
Wisconsin, and we were joking about how it was kind of fun to live the vagabond lifestyle. And Dewey's like, "Yeah, I totally get it. I'm living at a community park right now." And we're like, "Okay, weird
Yeah.
flex, but okay." But now it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that's awesome. I like. Maybe
I wish
we
I
gotta get a,
I
we gotta
wish
get a field
IAG
trip
would
down
give
to
me a motor.
IAG.
That'd be great. That'd
Man,
be
let's
so
see what else
helpful.
we got. So I think I know the answer to this a little bit. TC America. Will you guys be hitting all the Grid Life events? So you kind of covered that already. But yeah, I mean, so I think you had hopes of doing TC America for a while, right?
I did, yeah. I mean, and I still do. I mean, I'm still passionate about trying to go pro racing. It's just the budget that it requires compared to what Nick and I are spending to race our own cars it's just so much higher. So until I lock down the support, and obviously I'm always working on that. I'm always negotiating new sponsorship contracts to try to facilitate those kinds of things. But still definitely have an interest in racing in TC America. I think it's a really great series, and we've seen a lot of people from Grid Life or people come backwards even from TC to Grid Life that we race against. And so, you know, it's a lot of kindred spirits over there, and I think it would be a lot of fun, but we've got quite a bit of budget finding to do before we can afford to build a car for a series like that.
That is the hardest part. It's like, you know, you really have to have a checkbook that's got some girth to it to take on some of these series.
Entry-level pro racing, $25,000 a weekend, and I mean, we spend that in a year to race our own cars, so it is definitely a completely different ballpark. But that being said, it's not unattainable. I was able to race last year and find the support to keep it going, so I believe that, you know, we could end up back there. I just think if we did, it would be with our own car going forward because we can save so much money transporting, maintaining.
Plus, we'd have
repairing.
it available for testing all the time.
Right.
And that was a big thing with me moving to IMSA was the lack of seat time. It's hard to get competitive and comfortable in a new car when you can't drive it. Other than when you're there.
Yeah.
It sure is easier when your backyard is a racetrack.
Absolutely.
Most of these comments, there's a lot of comments here about how just, I think, super pumped people are that you live in an RV near a racetrack, which which brings up a good meme that probably hasn't been created yet. You know, you ever see the Chris Farley one? I live in a van down by the river.
Yeah.
Vaguely.
I live in an RV right next to the racetrack. Let's see. There's a possibility that you know this person, Nick. Robert Stentiford. Am I
That's my
butchering?
dad, yeah.
Am I butchering your last name? I feel like I am.
No, you actually got it pretty well there.
All
I
right.
appreciate it.
And he says, "Hey guys, good to see you." So, thanks, Robert's dad.
Hey, Pop.
Listen,
Hi, Dad.
thanks, Nick's dad. Listen, we appreciate everybody that comes on to watch the podcast. We need every one of them. So, let's see.
All 18 of you right now.
Oh man.
We got some troll comments, so I think we'll move that past.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, not really bad. It's just they're giving you advice for your hoop.
Oh, the gauges.
Oh, advice for it.
Yeah. So, baller. So let's see. Yeah. So I mean, it's everything else. This is I don't know what this is. Anyhow.
Okay.
So, but with that said, man, I think it's such a cool thing. I think your situation I think is so aspirational for so many people, and I think it's because you guys are first off, you're living what you want. I think that's number one. Number two, you guys have not had any problem putting it all out there to try to do what you want. And I think there's a lot of people couple wise that are watching this, and it may not be racing. It may be, tennis, or it could be golf. It could be, a different other sport or something like that. Boating, I don't know.
Crocheting.
Yeah. And so just the fact that you guys are able to do stuff like this together and kind of make your focus, it's great. And I think you also have a lot of other aspirational people like me who have kids, and you feel like your life is somewhat on the edge of not really having too many more choices. And it's cool to kind of see what you guys are able to do and the kind of stress/fun that comes along with it. So it's dope.
Yeah, we know that we're really lucky to be able to do the things that we do, but it by no means we didn't get here by not taking risks. We still do every day.
Yeah.
Some days we have to wonder if an auto show is even going to happen and we're even going to make our money for the next 2 months. And so then you're like, oh, well, I guess I better start selling things because I don't know how I'm going to pay for this race next week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of what we still do. And it's easy to look at it on social media and think
oh, it must be
man,
nice.
they must be loaded. Their parents must pay for everything. But
right.
it's
well, you can ask my dad. He's on here. He doesn't pay for anything.
Yeah, listen.
It's definitely something that we're really passionate about, and we wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, I think if you're truly passionate about something and you want to do it, you'll find a way to make it happen. You'll make your sacrifices. You'll eat your ramen. You'll live out of an RV, or whatever you got to do to make it happen. Just like you said, when I started racing cars, I just drove the car and slept in it. If you want to race cars bad enough, man, you'll do it.
Man, that's
that's wild, dude.
That idea still is like
I
love
have
that.
nightmares about that.
Yeah, pretty
tonight.
much.
My God.
I'll be honest with you. I have nightmares about getting delayed at the airport. So the fact that you drove your car and slept in it.
Well, you don't get delayed on the highway.
No, but
traffic here and there.
I guess, but I mean, things could come up along the way that are
right.
not conducive to moving forward.
I always thought the worst thing that could happen is I got to rent a U-Haul truck and a U-Haul trailer and tow it home. That's worst case scenario, Luckily that never happened. The funny part is I finally bought a truck and trailer. First time I took it out, transmission blew in the truck.
Of course it did.
So I learned my lesson.
Right.
And I fixed the transmission. But yeah, it was a blast, man. Seriously, that was probably the most fun in my racing, I'll say, career that I've ever had. It was just such a cool experience to do it, and just all the people I met along the way. I don't know. I wasn't a spectacular driver, but I don't know. The dudes, the people were pumped for me. I remember Tomo came up to me one time at Road America. It was my first time there. I drove there. He's like, "You drove this?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Man, I heard you were gonna come, and I'm just pumped to see it."
Yeah.
That means something to me still,
yeah.
I'm super passionate about what I do, and just for someone to notice it's really cool.
Man, that's awesome. It really is. It is crazy. I get Tom's I'm still struggling with it, and I watched you do it for a while, from a distance, but man, it's crazy. And it's hard. How much money goes into these things, to preserve money. I've been trying to retire early, and my OnlyFans account is just not doing well.
It's not doing as good as you hoped, huh?
No, I really felt for a minute that it was going to be something.
Yeah.
Not so much.
No. Well, don't give up, man. You never know.
Yeah. Well, you
Got
know,
The
that
dad
whole
bod
urban
is in.
vibe to you.
dad bod. So wait, real quick, Savannah, are you still doing like you're doing spokesperson stuff? I've seen some of the pictures. You're doing the ride and drives. Are you still doing any modeling, or is that like we're
No.
over that? Which is good because
No,
it's not
I'm-
really your focus.
No, yeah, it's just not my focus. It was honestly a means to an end for a long time for me. It was a career.
Yeah.
And I was never really that passionate about it. It was something that I could make a lot of good money in a couple of days doing, and then I could, not have a day job because I was, doing a
Yeah.
fashion show or doing an editorial shoot. And so it was really hard to say no to the money in the end, but for me, it was a distraction, and it wasn't what I wanted to be identified as in racing. I wanted to be, I wanted to be given credit for what I was doing as a driver and as a mechanic, not as being the cliche, umbrella girl turned race car driver. And that being said, I'm not dumb. I owned what I could of it to get me to where I needed to go, which is here. So, I for sure used it as a strength rather than a weakness. But
Yeah.
it's definitely not something that I was passionate about the way that I am about horses or cars. So
Right.
it's like an easy thing for me to step away from it. And now that I've invested enough in myself as a driver, I've been able to make money doing this now. And so I'm not having to do anything like that anymore, which is nice.
Isn't that crazy,
I don't have
though?
to double dip.
Isn't that crazy that you can, like, if you were like go back to yourself, like, and what's interesting is that a lot of your, your racing dedication really has come in just a few years in the grand scheme of things. But like, isn't it crazy to think like you go back to your 4 or 5 years ago to look at where you are then to like, I mean, to see where you are now as far as your driving progression and what you
Absolutely.
have, and like, does it excite, like if you were back then and saying, hey, like I live in a RV down by the racetrack, like if you were able to show yourself what you have now, would you be super pumped? Like everything you did was worth it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and I wouldn't believe you. I mean,
Right.
if I guess I started this back in 2016, and if someone had approached me in 2016 and said, "Hey, you're doing the right things, just keep doing it, and like if you keep doing it, you're gonna make money doing this someday, and you're gonna live at a racetrack, and you're gonna have these awesome cars that you're gonna be so proud of," I would be like,
Whatever.
"Okay."
Yeah, get out of here, crazy.
Like,
I know.
Yeah.
you are so full of it. I probably honestly would have just started laughing. And,
Yeah.
And it's not that I didn't ever have aspirations to get here. It's just almost, I don't want to coin the term fake it till you make it, because I hate that term, but there was a lot of it that was just almost just blinded by passion, I guess, just doing something out of the pure,
Yeah,
just
love
like,
that.
I really feel some burning need to go do this. I don't know why, but like driving the Skyline from Maryland to Texas for a drift event, like it's the same as like what he was doing. Like people are like, you drove your 1991 Skyline 1,200 miles one way across I-40 to go to a drift event to drive it back. Why would you even? And I'm like, well, it was
It
just
sounded
a really
like fun.
cool experience, and I really want to do it.
Yeah.
And you know what? The turbo let go literally 30 miles in, and I finished the whole drive with a seized turbo. So
Right.
it
Jesus.
just teaches you like him, and that's, I think, a big reason why we're drawn to each other, is just that we are the, like, if there's a will, there's a way kind of people. And if we want to do something, neither one of us is ever going to say, hey, that's a bad idea, you shouldn't go to that race. We're going to be like, all right, what do we need to sell to make it happen?
Yeah.
Or
That's
maybe
awesome.
just don't even check the bank account before we go. We just go.
Just figure
Right.
it out.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's kind of how I feel about my own OnlyFans account. You know what I mean? Like I keep hoping that one day I'll make it big there. So before,
So if you take one thing from this, take away Scott's OnlyFans account, everybody.
yeah, we'll
There you
link
go.
below, and you guys can go check it out. I think you'll be super pumped. A lot of good content there. So
God help us all.
with that said, we got to shout out M-Spec Performance, because they literally just said, miss you guys, come see me. We
Oh,
have
come see us.
we have cars for you.
Oh, fair
It's the
enough.
gateway
Fair
drug.
enough.
Yeah. And Dewey's shouting out, kids can be fun at the racetrack if you do it right. I believe it,
He
but
does it.
Yeah, he does do it.
Man.
He does it, but I will say his wife is a saint. His wife is a super supporter, which is awesome to see. It's really cool to see them out there as a family. Like, neither one of us has aspirations for kids, but it's cool to see when someone can make it work, because usually people say that that's the magic wand that makes race cars go away, and I have seen that happen enough times to know it's true. So it's cool to see someone make it work.
Yeah, it's that's probably pretty close. I think you could do it. I really do think because if you look at a lot of really hardcore racing families, there are a lot of that. I mean, I hate to say it, but that live in an RV and travel around the country and like legitimately, race on the weekends. The kids are all part of it. They grow up in it. They don't know anything different. So I'm not saying it could never happen. So just in case anything happens, guys.
Oh dear.
I think you're gonna be fine. But shout out. I mean, listen, I don't even know your dad, and I already like him because I mean, just his comments. But so he said kids got hard. I just think it's like I can feel your dad's like short like comments, but like he's super proud of you. I can just feel it.
He definitely is. I hate to bring in like a proud papa moment, but he did finally come out to like a big race out here at Pikes Peak, and like I heard he cried. I don't want to put him on the spot too big about it.
Just put him on the spot.
But it meant a lot to hear that from my pops. Like, I'm real big on making my dad proud, and like that meant a lot to me. Like, I didn't win anything that weekend, but man, like everything I've done for years and years and years, to have my pops come out, that meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
Woo! Woo!
Oh, there we go.
I get it.
A lot to me. And Cheryl came out. She's been like a mom to me. She was pumped on it, and Savannah was obviously there, and Casey from M-Spec. All the M-Spec guys were there. Like, it was just like, I'm doing the right stuff, like I'm having a great time and these people support me. It just meant a lot. But yeah, my pops is right. His short comments about it, like, he's proud.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I can
really
feel
awesome.
it. Like I can see like typing in the stuff, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I get it. And it's man, it's crazy. It's like, but listen, you didn't put your dad on the spot. There's probably only like 27 people that will watch this thing, and on top of that, none of them subscribe
until
to my
it goes
OnlyFans
viral. Until it goes viral, and we get the $200,000
listen, if this goes
campaign car.
Yeah, if this goes viral, guys, please check out my OnlyFans account. Daddy needs a new set of shoes, you know what I mean?
I'm just saying, we could put your picture down the side of my car and have the O and the G over the nips. We could do it.
There are a lot of things.
For more great ideas, follow my Instagram.
I understand. Listen, there are a lot of things that could kill racing, and we're not going to let that be one of them.
Oh, God.
So, listen, But listen, I really appreciate you guys seriously like coming on here and hanging out with us for a little bit. I think it's always good to catch up with you periodically. It's even better to come into your home and like hang out with you from that perspective. And man, I think the story is so good.
It really is, yeah.
Such a good story. I just think that there's going to be so many more people out there that like may find this on the internet. If you're finding this, drop a comment in and let them know, which they can come back and look at it, that you checked out my OnlyFans and you love the way that they actually made their dreams come true.
Hell yeah.
So that's it. We're gonna get going. Anything you wanna anything you wanna mention, hype,
socials,
run. I mean, we'll put the stuff in the description.
Okay. All right.
But anything you want to plug, there's some people that might want to hear about it.
I mean, honestly, we appreciate all of our supporters, all of our fans, followers, even haters, because all of that stuff helps get us to where we are today. And so obviously we appreciate the companies like Koenig who support us. I've been with you guys since 2016 and it feels like forever.
It really does.
And I remember the first conversation I had with you, Scott, you said you valued long-term partnerships.
Yeah.
And so and I also would like to just congratulate you, not to be suck up here, but congratulations on your recent promotion.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate
it's really cool to see just over the years you grow with the company, and obviously to see what Koenig has become is really cool for us, because I remember when I was first jumping on board with Injuku and they told me about Koenig, I don't feel like your presence in road racing was a tenth of what it is. And I think that you and the team really need to give yourselves a pat on the back for that, because you guys have absolutely made yourselves into a pillar in the road racing and drifting, grassroots motorsports. And so it's really cool to see the company grow like that. And like I said, my number one like DM request is like, what are your wheel specs? So it's working what you guys are doing.
Well, I
we
appreciate
the support.
I appreciate all that. I mean, I will say that if you had to give me if somebody boiled it down to like, what is the one thing that you take away from your time here that has made you like just so, like, you look back legacy wise from the car perspective, what's the one thing you take away? One thing I take away is the fact that there's great people here that own this company that gave me the latitude to be able to say, hey, look, if you feel like giving as much support as you can to a grassroots scene is where you think we can position ourselves and help out and actually get the right people some product.
Well, and grow, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, but I think secondary to growth, I think growth is a byproduct of trying to be supportive. Like, I think about it from my perspective, right? I always I was at like my day, like, that's so ridiculous.
Back in my day.
Yeah. So
back in my day, yep.
I was like into drag racing. That's where I got my start. And I remember thinking like, the company, you remember the companies that even if they gave you a discount, you remember the companies that like legitimately were, and they knew they weren't going to get anything out of it. You know what I mean? Like, there were some companies you would do stuff with, and you knew that they were just helping you out. Their discount, their products, whatever it was. And I'm so fortunate to know that there's people out there that legitimately that we are helping in a way that allows motorsports to keep turning, because you know how expensive this stuff is. Yeah. So, yeah, but thank you for coming on with us and staying with us for such a long time, because I'll tell you, we've had relationships, obviously, you don't know which ones will come and go. We've had ones that have been super long, decades worth, and then we've had ones that, you think you're doing the right thing. We try not to go work with people that are going to be short term. Even if short term, it could be beneficial. It's just not our style. And some of those relationships don't work out. But the fact that both of you have really, continued to, kind of be there for us and allowed us to help when we can, it means a lot.
Well, we appreciate it. Yeah.
Awesome. So I think let's wrap it.
Yeah. Should we say goodbye to them? Let them go.
Yeah.
And
why not?
Live by a racetrack and go do cool things while we work.
Now you're just depressing me. All right. Well, listen, for all those of you watching, before we say goodbye to Savannah and Nick, make sure you go down below if you haven't already. Check their socials, subscribe to them, see what they got going on, and remember, they live at a racetrack, and hopefully they start a YouTube channel soon so we can watch their their racetrack happenings stuff.
Oh, that's got a weird ring to it.
That's a working title.
Yeah. I think that you should. I know I'd watch.
There you go. Right.
I mean, it's in the works.
It is. Yeah. It seriously is.
We're working on bringing a media person on board for this year, so that's one of the negotiations we're in. That we can't really give too many details because it's still negotiations, but that is something we are working on.
There's so many people. Like, I could think of, like, there's this van life channel. They're like two girls that live in an RV and document themselves moving around in an RV.
I could put a wig on him.
Yeah, I could be a pretty lady real quick.
Shave this off.
Maybe
Nick,
just
you are adorable. So, for more on Nick, make sure you check out my OnlyFans account.
Oh my god.
So anyhow, but we'll let you go. Thanks for coming on and hanging out with us. And I don't know, let us know what you need.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I had fun.
Yeah, awesome. Talk to you later. So, man, I'll tell you, it's always fun to have a podcast where you know that the conversation you're having is legitimately just conversation.
Well, and I'll add to that they also played a good game of the element of surprise, because I mean, man, there were some, like, with the RV, like, I had no idea about.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the OnlyFans thing.
No, that's your thing. But, like, seriously, man, that was a great conversation.
Yeah, it was good.
I'm glad we did it.
So, for all those still hanging out, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with us. I think it's great when we get to have these conversations. If you know of anybody else that you would like to see on the podcast, especially if they're
100%.
related to the Koenig, throw the comment down below. Don't forget that every Friday we drop a piece of content on our YouTube channel. So if you're listening on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or Spotify, make sure you go over to our YouTube channel, Koenig Wheels USA. Click the subscribe button, notification button. We're going to be doing some giveaways at the beginning of this year, and you'll only know about it by being subscribed to our YouTube channel. So make sure you do that. This Friday we will be putting up another piece of content, like I just said.
Yeah.
And every Wednesday before this podcast, we go live on Instagram and Facebook, and we answer your questions. So at 2 p.m. Eastern, and then we follow it up with the podcast at 3 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for hanging out with us.
For real.
We will catch you next week. Take care.